Marcus hit every target he ever set, and it broke him completely. Not in a dramatic public meltdown way, just a quiet, internal shutdown where food lost its taste and mornings felt like a cruel joke. He was 39, worth 8 figures, respected, and utterly hollow. You might think that sounds like a luxury problem, but the luxury didn't cushion the fall. It removed every distraction from facing the void he'd been sprinting toward. Here's the dangerous truth no success seminar will tell you. When you finally get everything you wanted, your mind can start to unravel. Why? Because the machinery that kept you alive, the drive, the hunger, the tension, suddenly has no fuel. I'm going to show you exactly how this psychological collapse happens, using a real pattern that shows up in founders, artists, and even lottery winners. And by the end, you'll understand why the goal wasn't what you actually needed. Stick with me, because the twist about what your brain really craves is going to change how you chase anything. Marcus was a tech entrepreneur. He spent 12 years building a software company, sleeping 4 hours a night, ruining 2 relationships, and deferring every impulse to rest. And the crazy part? He was happy during those years, not comfortable, but deeply engaged. Then he sold the company. The wire hit his account on a Tuesday. He sat in his living room, expecting fireworks in his chest, but all he felt was a flat line. Weeks passed. He bought a sports car, took a trip to Japan, but the color had drained from everything. You've felt a shadow of this, right? A big promotion that left you oddly deflated, a long-sought relationship that brought anxiety instead of peace. The crash after success isn't a character flaw. It's a predictable neurological event. We call it post-achievement depression. And it happens because you've been training your brain to see accomplishment as the finish line, when in reality, your mental health was built to run, not to stop. Deep inside your brain, a tiny structure called the nucleus accumbens acts like a reward accountant. It releases dopamine when you make progress toward a goal, not when you achieve it. Think about the last time you were in the final stretch of a project, the late nights, the beta version, the adrenaline of launch countdown. That buzz was dopamine rewarding the pursuit. The moment you cross the line, the accountant closes the ledger. Your dopamine levels don't just normalize, they can drop below baseline for weeks. It's like your brain's motivational engine suddenly idles, and you're left holding a trophy that no longer generates the chemical spark. And here's the grim joke. You spent years climbing the ladder, only to realize it was leaning against the wrong building, and the building was on fire. But the real collapse goes deeper than brain chemistry. Achievement often destroys the psychological scaffolding that kept you stable. Marcus had a team, a shared enemy in the market, a clear enemy to outwork. His purpose was sharp. After the sale, he had no adversaries, no fixed schedule, no reason to set an alarm. Humans are meaning-making animals. We need problems to solve, or we start inventing toxic ones. Without a challenge, the mind starts chewing on itself. This is why some retired executives become conspiracy addicts or micromanage their kids. The brain demands a crisis, and it will find one, even if it has to hallucinate it. There's a bleak comfort in knowing that this isn't evidence you're broken, it's evidence your operating system was optimized for struggle. Around the 3rd year, something even darker happens. If you manage to set new goals, say start another company or train for an Ironman, the initial thrill quickly fades because your baseline has shifted. Achieving the ultimate win recalibrates your sense of what progress feels like. You need bigger, faster, more extreme wins just to feel a blip of satisfaction. Psychologists call this anhedonia, the inability to feel pleasure from normally rewarding activities. And it's not just a billionaire problem. It shows up in anyone who makes a single goal their identity and then crosses the finish line. That musician who finally gets a Grammy and then can't write a note for years, same mechanism. The student who aced every exam, landed the dream job, and now quietly wonders if they chose the wrong life. Same mechanism. The collapse is democratic. It doesn't care how hard you worked. The universe doesn't care about your vision board. It just hands you the keys to a car with no engine and a very shiny hood. Wait, it gets worse. The social isolation that often follows success accelerates the crash. Your old peer group treats you differently, and your new peer group is too busy projecting confidence to admit they're also adrift. Marcus found himself unable to complain to anyone without being called ungrateful, so he stopped talking. Silence is the fertilizer for depression. When you have no one to share the emptiness with, the emptiness starts to feel like a permanent trait, not a temporary state. And that leads to dangerous coping: alcohol, impulsive decisions, affairs, financial gambling. Not because you're weak, but because you're desperately trying to feel something other than flatness. Your brain is a dopamine accountant with a sick sense of humor. It gives you a bonus, then immediately deducts for adjustment. The climax of this story reveals the most terrifying implication. Getting everything you want can make you entirely lose your identity. You've spent decades becoming the person who overcomes obstacles. So when obstacles vanish, who are you? Many people can't answer that question and end up self-sabotaging to recreate the struggle. They pick fights, start failing businesses, destroy stable relationships, anything to feel the familiar heat of a problem that needs solving. Achieving everything is like finding out the treasure chest is filled with IOUs from your own future happiness. But here's the revelation that changes everything. Your mind was never meant to arrive permanently. It thrives on the edge between known and unknown, comfort and uncertainty. Satisfaction is a direction, not a destination. The solution is not to stop wanting things, it's to want the right fuel. We have to shift from achievement chasing to challenge embracing. Here's what that looks like in practice. First, define yourself by your process, not your outcomes. Marcus eventually found peace when he started mentoring young founders, not for money, but for the messy, unpredictable rhythm of helping. Second, deliberately install discomfort in your life. Learn a hard skill. Explore a new field where you're a beginner. The brain loves controllable struggle. It's why video games are addictive. Third, build social structures that value growth over status. That means finding people who ask what you're struggling with, not just what you're celebrating. Fourth, give yourself permission to grieve the loss of a goal that once gave you meaning. It's a death, and ignoring it prolongs the crash. Finally, create goals that are never fully achievable. Be a better listener, understand more about a topic, cultivate kindness. Infinite games, not finite ones. The breakthrough is understanding that your psychology is a pursuit engine, not a possession engine. You finally caught the carrot, and now you are a confused overachiever holding a vegetable with no idea what to do next. But you can stop the collapse by recognizing that the real gift was never the carrot, it was the chase. When you design your life around continuous growth, failure becomes data, and success becomes a checkpoint, not a cliff edge. You stop needing bigger wins and start appreciating the daily tension that keeps you alive. So the next time you're tempted to put all your hope into a single finish line, remember Marcus. And remember that the version of you who reaches that line will still need a reason to wake up tomorrow. Make sure you've given them one. If you liked this video, there is more like this, so follow the channel for the next one.